Okay, welcome everyone. Special, shalom aleichem. Yeah. So we decided to learn HILCHOS this man, and it's a short man, and it's a very powerful man. El is Anila Daidi V'Daidi Li. What's a Daid? Uncle. So why do we choose the Rebbeinu Shalom like an uncle? Anila Daidi V'Daidi Li? Because there's nothing like a good uncle. A parent gives a child musa, smacks him sometimes. You know, a good uncle, if you have a zeichet to have one of them, they come from out of town and they bring you nash and, remember that? You had one of those? No, especially if you didn't have that many children and you had 10 children in your family and all, you come out and they brought some donuts and everyone came flying. So the Rebbeinu Shalom is uncle. The Rebbeinu Shalom is like Anila Daidi, it's only Ava. The whole month of El is only Ava. So how do we pay back the Rebbeinu Shalom? Anila Daidi V'Daidi Li. How do we pay back the Rebbeinu Shalom?
Other banks go out of their way to make
how do we do that?
Rewards needlessly complicated.
Of them,
but Discover is
Chazal tell us the Daidi Li, if we do back to the Rebbeinu Shalom, how do we do back to the Rebbeinu Shalom? By being davuk to him. How we davuk to him? Limud HaTorah. It's the Gres Tadveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's Limud HaTorah. So we have to realize this schus that we have here, that this kail is open from the beginning of El. Most kailim start Labor Day, this, that. Here we started Mamish. Reb Shlomo got together at the beginning of El. It's a regular kail going on. Therefore, we have this schus. Not like, we have to come back to learn. The rest of schus that we have zeicha, that we can be back to the Anila Daidi, and this is the Daidi Li, it's Hana El. It's Kula Rachmanis. What?
You never stopped.
You didn't stop 3 weeks? You didn't stop?
All the
what
way
are you
through.
talking?
We learned
a whole different
we learned on Zoom all the way through.
Wow, okay, unbelievable.
You have to thank the Zoom people for coming on every single day of Ben's Madam.
Wow, what is Chashuv?
Day after Tisha B'Av till Friday.
Oh, you mean I was the one that was out of it? Okay, didn't realize that. Okay,
yeah, out of it.
Lucky you that learning straight while you're holding up the world. Mamash Kiyam Olam. Okay, just to start off, in Yitzris, in Beis the Sukkahs, we say, Balti mitzvah sukkah be'enecha kala, ki keneged kol mitzvahs das chukah Yisrael shkula. Sukkah is keneged, shakal keneged kala mitzvahs kulam. All tayag mitzvahs, sukkah is shakal. Now the question is, why is sukkah so chashuv? I think it's a very easy mitzvah. We know the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Rebbeinu Shalom said, Goyim, you want a mitzvah? I'll give you the easiest mitzvah, sukkah. So why do we have that sukkah is so chashuv that it's connected? The Piyut says, Asher enesh yasazais yechashuv loik shoyme kol haTorah azais. You sit in the sukkah, it's chashuv like you shoyme the whole Torah, kol haTorah kula. Why is it so chashuv? What would you say? Sukkah is so chashuv, shakal connected kol haTorah kula. What do you say, Reb Heschel? No. Sounds good. Reb Heschel saying that the Pshaz is Me'en Yeshiva Yisrael. Okay. But Baruch Finkel said, Pshat, because Sukkah is the Yisrael is Amunah. Amunah. Right? That's what we know. It's B'tachin. It's B'nei B'sukkah B'yoyim Yoy Yastireni. It's Molei B'tachin. Why? You're going in a little hot. You're living with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So therefore, we know Boch Havakuk V'Midan Alachas Tzadik B'Emunasa Yichya. We have to have B'tachin. Many of us get worried. You're sitting and learning what's going to be with the Panos, this and that. You're sitting in a sukkah. It's Kulei B'tachin. So it's Shakal Keneged Kol HaTorah Kula. Tzadik B'Emunasa Yichya. There's a Murdik Balakeda that says Pshat in the Gemara. We'll get to the image of Hashem. The Gemara says that Be'in, you're not mechuyev to sit in the sukkah. Learning. Supposed to do everything in the sukkah, but Be'in, you're not mechuyev to. What's the Pshat? Zok the Baal HaKeda, because what sukkah? Sukkah is you're being dovuk to the Shechina of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're learning Be'in, that's the grested vekes HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Azoi Zok the Baal HaKeda. So here we go, Elsman. Here we're sitting and learning Be'in, we're harving over in Yonei Sukkah. What is the HaKeda telling us? That the fact that you are learning Be'in, you don't need to sit in the Sukkah. It's like you're sitting in the Sukkah. So throughout El now, we're going to be sitting in the Sukkah. We don't have to wait till Tezvav Tishrei, another 45 days. We have it right now. Every time you're sitting and trying to think of a svara and trying to understand another pshat in a Mishnah, another pshat in a Gemara, another pshat in a Taisus, maybe Kivega, maybe Halacha, whatever it is, it's like you're sitting in the Sukkah Mamish. Yeah.
We know that. The Gemara says that. The Gemara.
Rashi.
Gemara.
Yeah, but he's telling you new that. Okay.
Yeah,
Now let's start with
totally Chiddush.
Now, let's start with what's in Yonei Sukkah. We're going to be learning about YESHIVAS Sukkah. So obviously we have to understand before we start YESHIVAS Sukkah. We have to understand what is not the mechayvim, just what is this whole chiyuv of YESHIVAS Sukkah. So we know. Everyone knows there's a machlokes in the Gemara and the Afir Aleph, if it's Zeichel Ananei HaKavod, or it's Zeichel Sukkah's Mamish, right? What happened in the Midbar? They sat in Ananei HaKavod. There was Ananei HaKavod. What's Ananei HaKavod? Clouds that took them through the Midbar, and they were nitzah from everything around them. Question: if it's Ananei HaKavod, why are we calling it Sukkahs? Sukkahs is a hut in English, right? What does Ashkel translate to Sukkahs? Hut. So why don't we just say Ananei HaKavod? Why are we saying Sukkahs? The pasuk says Ki b'Sukkahs Shaftes B'nei Yisrael. It says Sukkahs. Why doesn't it just say Ki b'Ananei HaKavod Shaftes B'nei Yisrael? Good question. The Ramban says, the Ramban is bothered with the Shaila, and the Ramban says, B'nei Shekva Pish Sha'onon Hashem Aleim Yoimam V'Omadei Shloila. We know already, the pasuk before says what they sat in. So now just for a short version, it says Besukkahs. Fine, that's the Ramban, the Torah is Mayach, and that, but Akaponim, that's one shot. So let's go, who's that? That's a Belezer that says Ananei HaKavod. Kumke Bakiva says, no, Sukkahs Mamash Asu Lahem. They had huts. What does that mean? It was sunny in the Midbar. Go outside today, don't sit in the hut. You can't, how long can you sit there? So they had huts. They literally had Sukkahs, they made huts for themselves, and that's the Zeicha. Question. Is that something that you should remember? If there'll be houses, we would say, okay, 7 days a year, sit in the house. Make sure you sit in the house. Does that make any sense? Why are we making a zeicha of this sukkah? What's the big deal? If anything for cat, Rabbi Shem, you should have made us houses with air conditioning. You gave us this little hut. It was boiling outside. You know what it means in the midbar. You know what a chamsin means, right? Heat wave in Eretz Yisrael. Now it's a heat wave. 100 degrees, you can't breathe. Go to Bnei Brak, you sweat just standing outside for 1 minute. So the Rebbe shall put us in a hut. Wow, that's a major oiftu, that now you're somewhat in some shade. That's what we're making a zeich of? That's what we're making a whole yontif of? Good question, right? If it's an Ananei HaKavod, it protected us from all the outside, the Mitzrayim and all the outside, and we know Ananei HaKavod straightened out the mountains. They were able to walk straight, Ananei HaKavod in front of them, straighten them out. No one, everything was unbelievable. There were trees growing out, everything was going on Ananei HaKavod. The Nisim were half of a fella. Even though the Rishonim do ask that, why don't you make a zeicha of the man, which is was fabulous mess. All of a sudden, they had food from no man's. It was like, today we used the boxes, but Amol, they had man coming out, right? So now this is something that, fine, that's another zeicha, but on Sukkot itself, what's the zeicha of the Sukkot? What's the big deal? What was the nice? That they had wood in the midbar. Okay, that could be said. That wood, there was no wood in the midbar. Where did they get that from? But that's still not.
They had wood. How'd they build a mishkan if they didn't have wood?
Right. So that we know they slept from Yaakov and this and that. But over here, like every yachid should have wood. Okay, that's not what it's mashma. There was no Home Depot in the midbar, not as far as we know, and not Lowe's either, and nothing like that. Shemayim. So the Ramban is bothered with the Shaila. Zok the Ramban ala Torah and Pashas Emor, והזיכרון שידעו ויזכרו שהיו במדבר לא יבואו בבייס ועיר מוישה. לא ימוצו הבאים שונה והשם היה עמם לא יחסרו דבר. It's not dafka this sukkahs that you're sitting in. It's from there you should remember that you were missing a thing. The Baruch Shalom even put you in huts and he took care of you. And don't think that it was just a hut. It's there to remember you that 40 years you lived in a midbar and the Baruch Shalom gave you everything you needed. That is what this Zech is all about. Azay Zok Ramban, the Ben Bechaya. Some people pronounce it Ben Bachya. Says that the Asay Mesukkas Mamash Asam Nenzeh Nistavino Lasses Dugmasam. Kedei she is Galavi Fasim Mitach Mitzvah Asukit Goydel Maloshan Sheisol Bamidbar. They were there with children and adults and everything. It's not the norm to live through such a midbar. And still, the Baruch Shem gave us everything we needed. So that's very important to know that when you're talking about sukkahs mamish, it's not just the hut. When we're sitting in that sukkah, it's supposed to remind us of all the nisim that happened in the midbar for 40 years. HaKlal Yisrael lived through it all. That is what sukkahs mamish is. So again, we have Zechalan Aneh covered in the Gemara, and then we have Rebbe Kiva telling us that it's sukkahs mamish. Now, the obvious question, which we know, the Rishonim asked this question, is why we make sukkahs on Tishrei. We should make it on Nisan, right? And we know the truths in the Torah says, because that's when people are normally coming inside, it's getting already cool. We don't see that yet, but it's starting to get cool. And therefore, we tell you, go ahead and make it on the time that people are going to realize that you're doing a L'Shem Mitzvah. Question, why do I need people to realize what I'm doing for? Is this Hanukkah? This is Pesach Manes over here? Hanukkah, you have to know, you have to light. Everyone should see, light by your entranceway. Here you could have a hut in the middle, covered by trees. No one could see you. Most of us are doing that. We're not Chabad that we're going out and putting sukkahs on cars or something like that, right? We go ahead and we have a nice sukkah in a backyard covered by trees. No one knows about it. So what do I care? Where's the Torah coming along and saying, no, we want people to see and people should know what's the reason for this. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Where in the mitzvah does it say that you have to do that for the Rebbeinu Shalom? Where do you see that people have to know about this? There's no pirsim anes on sukkah. Oh. So you're saying that you're right. It's nothing to do. I made it like a noch of a question. I give a whole question answer. That's not, it's that we should know. We should know. It's not for the outsiders to see they have a sukkah and you have a grand sukkah. There's no shaykhs. You could have a sukkah in your kitchen and have the rooftop open, no problem. What we want from this is just the fact that we'll know that there is when we're sitting in there, like with the Gemara in that Bay says, and that's why you can't have a sukkah. You know that there is a mitzvah of sukkah. That's the whole mitzvah of this mitzvah. Now, let's go to the Ikkedin Kavana. I see Reb Shlomo started speaking about it, and hopefully we'll have what to be Meisif, and then we'll understand a little bit what's going on by sukkah, which this is a very important sugya, not just for here, as we know this is Negeya, all mitzvahs. We know the Mechaber and Simin Samach, this is the raid now, not just for sukkah, because you have to know this throughout your life. The Mechaber and Simin Samach says, Mazamachleikis, if mitzvahs tzichas kavana or not. He paskins mitzvahs tzichas kavana. When you're doing the mitzvah, you have to have kavana that you're doing the ma'isa mitzvah. Azay state the Mechaber Simin Samach Sif Daled. Yeshayim she'em mitzvah tzichas kavana v'yeshayim tzichas kavana. Lot says ba'asiyah says a mitzvah v'chein halacha. That is the halacha. A person has to know that he's doing this mitzvah kavana. He has to know that he's doing this ma'isa mitzvah, l'shem Hashem. He has to know that he's doing a ma'isa mitzvah. The Chidah brings a story that this Moshe Harari, Echad Mirabonei Tzuva. I don't know where that is.
Northern Syria, we established.
Tzuva, Syria?
Aram Saiva. Aram Naraim and Aram Saiva.
Okay, so we can't have a trip there yet. But Akaponim, Oh yeah, so you can get the also. Okay, fine. So he says after he ate and he went to sleep, he reminded himself, oh, he didn't need a mitzvah, Kazayas L'Shem Chayva. He didn't have a mind L'Shem mitzvah. He went up, he got up, and he made another Birchas Maitzi, and he ate B'Kavana Kazayas L'Shem Chayva, because mitzvahs tzrichas kavana. So here we have a story for real, that we pass a mitzvah tzrichas kavana, and a person has to go ahead and have kavana. Now, the Mishabur brings from the Chai Adam over here in Sifkat and Yud and Simon Samach. The Mishabur says that this that you need kavana is b'makom she'etz litloi she'asiyah yishayna l'haisel l'shay mitzvah. Keep going.
If you can put the Mishabur up, it would be helpful. I'm just talking to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going. Tkiya. She'haisel l'islamid. Oy b'krishma she'haisel derech limuda yukadayma. Avolim k'krishma k'derech. Simon Sifkat and Yud, the next page. No.
Well, you had it. You were there.
There's a lot of comments in it, so I have to go through the comments.
Okay.
Use the Mishnah Brura tab on the top.
Oh, he got it. Right. Let's move on a little bit further. V'da'oid, it's like 10 lines right there where your thing is. Right there with v'da'oid, right? No. Like 10, v'da'oid, a little lower, 4 lines down, 4 lines lower. V'da'oid, yeah, right there. The Kosav Chaya Adam. The Klal Samaches. The Ma'adim Mitzrachino le'lachze v'lasoi sa-mitzvah. What we tell you to do over the mitzvah if you didn't have kavanah, hainu b'mokum she'esh litlois. You know that it wasn't a Shem Mitzvah. You're going B'Tkiyah Shaisal Islam and you're blowing Tkiyah Shaifa just to learn it. You're doing to learn Torah. You said HaRav, now you're saying Krishma, then you will be Yaitse even though you didn't have Kavanah to be Yaitse. V'chein, she'ochal matzah. You ate matzah, or you blew shayfa, or you took a lulav. You were mechavan to be yaitze. What else are you doing it for? Which non-Jew takes a lulav to shake a lulav? Doesn't make any sense. Which person is saying Krishma in the middle of tefillah? Obviously, his mind is a mitzvah, even though you didn't intend to it, but it's muchach from your ma'isa that's what you're doing. Now, that is this chiddush of the Chai Adam and the Mishabur Paskas like it. Which means, if it's a Maisa mitzvah, which is clear that the only reason why you're doing it is only because of mitzvah, even though you're not thinking about the mitzvah v'chlal. But since that is muchach from the Maisa itself, Zok the Chai Adam, you don't need kavan. Okay? That's, you do the Chai Adam, the Mishabur is called. If so, we're coming out that every mitzvah the Iraisa needs kavana. Some mitzvahs don't need kavana if it's muchaf on the ma'aseh. Let me ask you a question. Your son comes to you to eat a Shabbos Suda. And there's a mitzvah kibbut aim, and you tell him pass the salt. And he passes the salt. Does he get a kiyum mitzvah the Iraisa, or we tell him, Rabbi, you did not have kavanah to do the mitzvahs kibbut avim. You just passed the salt because a random person asked you to pass the salt. You're a nice guy, so you pass the salt. Are you yaitz to the kiyum mitzvah or not? Someone comes to your door, and he collects and he knocks on the door. And finally, you open, and you give him that $1. And you don't have in mind mitzvah tzedakah. You have in mind you're a nice guy. Not give him any random guy comes to you. Give him $1. Are you yaitz to the mitzvah tzedakah? Absolutely not. You didn't have kavanah. The only time we're giving you the Chai Adam is only something that's so random, shaking a lulav. What else are you doing? What are you shaking a broomstick? Obviously, it's a ma'aseh mitzvah. Are you not thinking about it? Chai Adam gave us a license to say, even though you don't think about it, you get a kiyum mitzvah. But when I'm dealing with and give it with a smile. Do you mean to say that that's going to give you a
Smile, saying the
message?
smile's ma'akiv and it's in the
Yeah.
tzedakah. Yeah, they state you have to give behind yafa.
100%.
No, but what the Rav is saying is that Goyim give alms to the poor too. So
I gather that once you mention the smile, I'll just go for a minute. In tzedakah, there's an Indian that you shouldn't look at the person because he's going to be baish. So when someone comes to you in middle davening and you give him whatever the halachas are, should you rather not look at him because you're going to embarrass him, or rather look at him and smile? Why? But he would rather not. He doesn't want to be embarrassed from you. He would rather have a smile. Okay, the Shulchan Aruch says that you should rather not look at him in the face. From the highest level is that you shouldn't look at him. But Rabbi Black is right that you should smile because you embarrass him more. Today, the mechunach already were collecting, they're not that embarrassed. I'm not saying, no, Chasha, I'm not. If a yid's come from Yerushalayim and he's going around to the whole shul, he's not going to be embarrassed after when he sees you. Normal. Okay, fine. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. You get somewhat, even though you speak to the real collectors, they say they never get used to it. It's always it's hard for them. Okay, getting back to our topic. So, Lamaisa, if you go ahead and you're passing your father the salt, or you any mitzvah that's not muchach from the mitzvah itself, l'chayre, you're not going to get the mitzvah. Mitzvah tzrichas kavanah Shulchan Aruch paskins, so felt in the Lamaisa mitzvah. That's a big problem. That's a very big problem because Talmud Torah could be for a study. That's what I'm saying. So it could be that you're not going to get a kiyum mitzvah. That's a big problem. We can go through our day with many mitzvahs that we're doing B'nai Nefesh for, and we're not going to get a kiyum mitzvah.
why? Because maskil will learn Torah Shalel L'Shem mitzvah. Why
Yeah,
the
you learn it
muchach?
for a study.
Why the chayadim muchach and Talmud Torah too? Why else are you doing this? This is crazy. Why are we here? If not, the Shalom told us to do this. We have nothing better to do.
No, I'll tell you a different scenario. Maybe we're bored and we want our wife kicked us out of the house and we have no other breder. We're getting older and you know what I mean? And Chas v'shalom would never think like that. I'm just saying, you never know. No, the pastor looks bored. He came here, fine. Let's challenge our brain. They say it's good for the brain. If you don't want to go, never, you know what I mean? It's good for your brain, playing chess instead of playing that.
So what's the get of the chayadim?
What's the gather chayada? So I know Chashav Yid, he actually lives in Lakewood. I'm not telling you to do this, but when his kids come in, he says, okay, start thinking everything you're going to do now is keep it avein.
Wow.
Like this else, you want the mitzvah, keep it avein from the greatest mitzvahs. So he tells his kids, every time you start doing it.
Allah says you only have to stand up once because the rest.
Allah, you only have to stand up once because that's the mechaba over there that you shouldn't be better than the Banish Shalom, that you only stand up once.
So it's a p'tur, you mean? It's a p'tur.
That's a p'tur. But whenever it is, you have in mind that that like this, you walk into your okay. I'm saying that you tell your children, have in mind whatever you're going to do from now, the whole Suda, whatever I tell you to do, keep it avei. Now, it's not, most people, I haven't seen that by anyone. I'm sure none of us saw that by anyone. But I would say it's a good idea. But we have to really understand this Chai Adam could, like, the mission. It's not the Chai Adam. The Chai Adam helped us out somewhat. Chai Adam helped us out for Lula, the Chai Adam helped us out.
But even they won't, even this Rabbi in Lakewood won't say they have to say Kavanah L'Shem Kibbutav every time they talk. A general Kavanah Klal.
A general Kavanah Klal is that's going to be stam, that it's going to work for that visit. But every time you come visit again, he tells his children, have in mind L'Shem Mitzvah, because anything that you're going to do, you know, the Chaim Kanievsky was from the Masmid Adar, right? He would go visit his father every day and spend time over there, right? Because he felt Kibbutav. That means...
You mean he wasn't talking and learning with the stipler?
Oh, his mother, whatever it was, right? He spent. Oh no, okay, no, the stipler, yeah, he's right. The stipler wasn't going to waste a minute.
The stipler couldn't hear.
Kavod Shabbos Kodesh. Oh, very good. He said a very good marshal. You're eating Shabbos. You bought everything for eating Shabbos. It comes to eat. You eat for your stomach. So you're not even kavanah for mitzvah b'chlal. So that's another ma'aseh that you have to have kavanah for mitzvah. Now, that's what we're going to get to right now. So now, if so, it comes out that you're busy with your mitzvahs and you might not even be doing the mitzvah. Right? That could be a big problem. So now let's see. The Shulchan Aruch paskins in HILCHOS matzah. We're going to get back to SUKKAH, don't worry. What? Shem Yichud?
That's what we're discussing.
Okay, but keep it having on the bracha, but it's not on the bracha. Okay, Einik Shabbos. No, so that's why his Shabbos is very good. But Einik Shabbos, not having a bracha mitzvah Shabbos. Yeah, okay. Helps a lot. That's true. Yeah. So now the Shulchan Aruch passed Siman Tov Ayin Hey Sif Daled Im Ochal Matzah B'Loi Kavana Yotzi Dechei Dosei. Fragt the Mishavur, what's going on here? What do you mean? You need mitzvah tzrichas kavana. Zokta Tirtzur HaMefarshim the b'midi the b'achila shal kol chanan groina adav tveich u'mischaven dam. A person not having kavanah for a mitzvah, but since he's getting hana from it, that itself has a din of kavanah. It means obviously if he's eating it, he's getting kavanah. He's having hana. That is a din like kavanah. What does that have to do? What? Chaim Salvechik is very bothered with this. He says that no. He says Tamaza you can't be medama. He says that even though Yunan Groinai, that maybe doesn't need kavanah, but mitzvah sukkah about it doesn't need kavanah, and that's dependent on the whole klal. If when you're sitting in the sukkah, is it the achila the mitzvah, or it's the sitting in the sukkah that's the mitzvah? It's just the achila is the chetimtza how to get the mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah. I said Londinsky klal very quickly. That's a baruch b'ez klal, and let me say it a little slower. When I'm sitting in the sukkah and eating a kazayas of bread, I'm getting a mitzvah, right? What's the mitzvah? Is the mitzvah the eating or the mitzvah sitting in the sukkah? Yeah. Is the sitting in the sukkah the mitzvah or the eating? What does that mean? That means, is the sitting in the sukkah getting a mitzvah? How do I get the mitzvah? Not just sitting itself. I need to eat to get the mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah. Or, no, avada, I need to sit in the sukkah. But the mitzvah is the eating in the sukkah. And the mitzvah is miyachas to the eating. This is a famous Baruch Bez klal. It's brought down in Chidusha V'Shiyura Baruch Bez. It's 3 volumes. In the back of the first volume, in Siman Aleph, it's on Masechtas. And in the back, in Siman Aleph, over there, they bring this klal from the Shem Baruch Bez, which is already brought from Chaim. But Akapanim, so that's what really it will depend on if what the mitzvah is. Now let's say like this. If Shlomo Zalman paskins that if you were not mechaven for a mitzvah, you do not get the mitzvah, and it's like you ate out of the sukkah. See what's going on here? We're not talking about Hechanyanim now. We're talking about basic halacha. Shlomo Zalman says, if someone goes into the sukkah the first night, or any night, any day, and he sits and eats the kazayas of bread, and he doesn't have in mind that he's eating it for a mitzvah, he does not get the kiyum mitzvah. Pachad pchadim. Not only that, it's like he ate a kazayas outside the sukkah. What are we going to do with this? Kumt. I have a guy in a HaRav. I'm sure you heard of him. I'm sure everyone on Zoom heard of him. And he says, no. He argues, and he says, it's not ma'akiv the kavana. Shlomo Zalman, and so too is brought from the Chazon Ish, and the Be'alochas mashma, yes it is. So we have Shlomo Zalman, Chazon Ish, Be'alocha. The Paiskai Adar, the Gaon Olam,
which says
that you're not yotzei if you don't have kavana. If you walk into your sukkah and you eat a piece of bread and you do not have kavana l'shem mitzvah, you do not get a kiyum mitzvah.
you ate some Pesach.
Oh, so that's what I wanted to say. That klal, I don't want to. It's a little lumdish. I don't want to get into that now, Nakuda. But on Pesach, you would be yotzei the mechava. What we're saying by sukkah, that's what we're trying to say is the mitzvah is not the achila. The mitzvah is sitting in the sukkah, and therefore you have to have in mind that you're sitting in the sukkah, and you're not going to be yotzei.
I'm going to ask you the steer in the mechaber. That's Chaim's teretz is a steer in the mechaber.
Yeah. Now, someone just asked over here. What? Every mitzvah is like this, unless there's a ma'aseh to the mitzvah, which is not a normal act. Lulav, we said, is not a normal act. No non-Jew is going to shake a lulav. So that we have the Chayei Adam for. Yeah.
The whole focus is on Yedu, and you don't have das yourself. That should be a tremendous concern.
Okay, we're going to get to that. That's going to be another shmuz. We're not even talking about the man Yedu. We're talking about kavana of all tayag mitzvahs. You always need to have kavana, a regular kavana that you're doing a ma'aseh mitzvah. This guy eats a whole day. Yeah. So now, okay, the other ones over here asking, I see good shadows. So let's start with the shadow that was asked already 2 minutes ago, which someone said with the bracha of YESHIVAS SUKKAH, and that's a very good point. And that's a little what HaRav was trying to say. That uns Litvisha, not I mean Litvisha, if you go with the Noida Yehuda, that he's fire against, today they put out already a whole sefer just on this Noida Yehuda, that against saying L'Shem Yichud. And he says, what's the pshat? The basic borderline Noida Yehuda is that because when you're making the bracha, that's the guest of L'Shem Yichud. So a person goes ahead and makes a bracha YESHIVAS SUKKAH, it's automatically that he's having kavanah for the mitzvah. That's lick the ganze kavanah. So therefore, since you're making a YESHIVAS SUKKAH, you are yaitza automatically. That's what someone asked beforehand on Zoom, which is a very good way out. And we're making a YESHIVAS SUKKAH. Now, chas v'shalom, someone forgot to make a YESHIVAS SUKKAH, which could happen. So over there, you're right. But if he's making the bracha YESHIVAS SUKKAH, that's the line kavanah. Now I have a question for you. You never, but many times you just say that bracha just like within passing. You're not even thinking about anything that, okay, now I'm having in mind, YESHIVAS SUKKAH, kavanah, mitzvah, fine. I'm just saying it. So that gives me kavanah? Just by rattling off that bracha?
Somebody asked me, so what happens if you make kiddush, but you didn't make a YESHIVAS SUKKAH? Is the kiddush enough? You know it's sukkahs. You said chag sukkahs is it?
Right. You said, so what's the shayla? Should I make my mitzi? Yes, you should.
No, maybe that's enough.
That's enough?
That's enough to be mechayiv. That's enough to give you the kavanah.
No. Maybe
It's
kavanah.
better than Noida Yehuda. Much
Yeah,
better.
no, it's definitely going to give you kavanah, but I need a bracha leishav, like bichsa mitzvahs.
That's a separate question, Yamakov. The question is, I'm saying, does this at least give me the chayodim and pure
Yes.
kavanah for sure?
Yes, 100%. So Regatasman is saying, Shloim is saying, that if I say Kiddush, then even though what we're saying now with saying the bracha YESHIVAS SUKKAH that'll be enough, Kiddush would also be enough. True, that's true. But Al Kapanim. So getting back to here. So we're telling you that we're a little bit stuck. Someone walks into the sukkah. We have Shlomo Zalman, we have the Chazon Ish, we have the Be'al Locha. That tells you that you're not yaitza. Not only you're not yaitza, it's like you ate outside.
That's only Shlomo says that, but not the other two.
Yeah. No, the Be'al Locha is much like that also.
Also says that?
No, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
If a person has a mind not to be raised, and he eats in sukkah, perhaps he's still ate the sukkah.
Yeah. So now like this. So I'm seeing that people are sending in over here that l'chayra, what you're doing is I'm going out to the sukkah. What else am I doing? It's cold, it's hot. Did you ever see perfect weather on sukkahs?
Yeah.
It's maybe those few hours. Yerushalayim, it's so hot.
Sometimes it's too hot.
Okay, whatever it is. I'm saying, but most of the times, it's never perfect. Either it's windy or it's sunny or it's this, it's that. Everyone has
It depends who the shayla is. The one that has cold lives in Toronto. That's the answer to the question.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's what. Which is why the Chassidim don't eat in the second Shmir says, okay, that's another whole shmooze. Right. That is the end of Papula Chayrift. Yeah. But Al Kapanim. So we have to understand that l'chayra, he might be whoever that was. I think more than one person wrote that in. That there's a push to zach. The fact that you're going ahead and going out into your sukkah and it's very uncomfortable. So now I have a problem, but with these new style sukkahs, not new, but that it's in your house and you just pick up the roof and you might feel like you did nothing, right? You just you lift up the roof and sometimes you don't even realize that you're sitting in a sukkah. So over there you won't have that answer. Not only that, where do you do it? On your kitchen, over your kitchen table. You did nothing. For you, it feels like a regular weekday day. Not only that, normally you eat in your dining room, but now the sukkahs you can eat in your kitchen. Why? Because that's where the roof is opens up. So over there you won't have this eitzah of, like we're saying, that you're going out into your sukkah. So the people that are writing that in, they're right. That when you're going out into your sukkah, now you have to make sure that a week before that you're not eating in the backyard with a barbecue, and all of a sudden you tell me sukkah. I'm going out to my sukkah. What do you mean? A whole week before that you went out to have a grill and you were just fine. Don't blame me on sukkahs that sukkahs. No, I'm different today and I have kavanah automatically. The fact that I walked outside a whole week you're doing that, a whole month you're doing that. So that won't be such an eitzah. But if you're not that type and you normally eat in your house, and now you went ahead and you walked out to the sukkah, yes, that could be eitzah. Okay, fine. So now, but we are a little bit stuck. If a person doesn't do that, we have, like we said, we listed off many poskim that hold that it is a real problem that you're not considered eating in the sukkah. Or even if not that, you're not getting a kiyum mitzvah. So you have this guy that's makbar on everything in the sukkah. He drinks and he eats, and every cup of water he's going in the sukkah, and he doesn't realize that he's not getting this.
What do you mean?
mitzvah.
More than getting, according to you, it's being mevatl b'tzei deraisa. That's a serious thing. That's a very serious thing.
Very serious.
Only from Zalm say why.
So you know,
why is Mr. Brewer not saying that?
no, the Bialacha might be saying that also.
What about
Say that
tzitzis?
it's mevatel.
What about tzitzis? No, what about tzitzis?
Tzitzis we're going to get to. That's going to hold it.
No, but that's a tushtel to the Mr. Brewer, right?
Right over there in the Bialacha. Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on.
When you make a person makes a bracha, and let's say they're not focusing on the bracha, but somewhere in the back of the mind, subconscious, they know they're saying there's some kind of knowledge.
I think the Rosh should repeat the question. What degree of consciousness is the question is necessary in making a bracha? That's the Chazon Ish Tefillah, right?
You need real kavanah. Now, if you're just going to say a bracha, you're not having in mind, you're missing the kavanah. Kavanah means kavanah, not just subconscious. You need real kavanah. So, okay, so now this is your side for life and every mitzvah that you're doing. Try to, before you start, try to have kavanah that I'm doing a ma'aseh mitzvah. Fine. Now, where HaRav is coming from is a whole different sugya, which is a mechudesh pshat, but maybe we'll get to it eventually. But akapanim, so let's go with that we should, from now on, it's a good Kabbalah to take upon yourself, Elul, that I want to start doing kavanah to all my mitzvahs. Have a kavanah in the mitzvahs. It could be a whole different mitzvah. Okay, now, let's move on, Negei Sukkahs. So this wasn't a shmuz till now Sukkahs, this was a shmuz tamazah. But let's move on to Sukkahs, the famous Bach that comes off the Torah. That, one second, before that, I'll tell you to put a sign up, and wherever you go, have a mind l'shem mitzvah, but sometimes you get so used to it that you forget already, and right, it just becomes
The
part of
writer
it.
becomes the hergo.
Right, it doesn't matter. Like you know, you have those stickers on the fridge, the best mom, you know, whatever it is, the best wife, and then it stays on there. Now you don't even know. Now it come out and says the word, you know.
What about the T-shirts? Thank you, Hashem.
Right, all that. But eingewöhnt, there's nothing. So that's not really a eitzah. You have to train your mind to it. Okay. Now, the Torah says, "Besukkos teishu shivas yamim leman yedu de'esechem ki besukkos eshafti es b'nei Yisrael b'yitzi oisa me'eretz Mitzrayim tola kasav mitzvah sukkah b'yitzias Mitzrayim v'idava shudava she'inu b'eineim." Comes the Bach and says, "HaRav Tzadik Betur, you never tell me reasons. What's going on over here? You tell me halachas. Why over here are you elaborating and explaining what the reason is?" Therefore, Zok the Bach HaChidush, that a person, the Torah is coming to teach us that this is part of the mitzvah. You have to know the time mitzvah. L'man yedu da'esechem ki b'sukkos shafti. As b'nei Yisrael, a person has to know the time of mitzvah. If he doesn't know the time of mitzvah, he is not going to get the kiyum mitzvah. So now he was ma'aseh on us. Normally, mitzvah tzrichas kavanah, what does that mean? You have to know you're doing a ma'aseh mitzvah. That's it. No reason, no rhyme to the reason. I'm doing a ma'aseh mitzvah. I'm doing the Shem Hashem. I'm doing the ma'aseh mitzvah. Zok the Bach, no. Over here, the Torah was mechadish to us that you have to know the time of mitzvah. What's the reason to the mitzvah? Either anana covered or b'sukkos hashafti. We explained b'sukkos hashafti is not just that you sat in a hut. All Nisei Midbar, 40 years we got saved in the Midbar, that is part of the kiyum mitzvah. Not only that, Zok the Bekur Yankiv. Bekur Yankiv is the Aruch HaNer. Yankiv is from the Pesach Adar on SUKKAH and Bunim. He put out on the Shulchan Aruch, the Aruch HaNer put out a Pirush. And over there he brings the Bach and he says, "Afilu b'di'eved lo yotza." You're not yotza even b'di'eved. If you don't have in mind what the time of mitzvah is, you're not yotza even b'di'eved. This is pachad pradam. Because the mitzvah tzrichas kavanah, we said that maybe going out to the sukkah, everyone was giving the eitzes, going out to the sukkah, you'll be yotza the kavanah, saying the bracha leishav sukkah, you get the, here nothing helps you. You have to have in mind every time you walk into the sukkah and you start eating. Before that, you have to have in mind, okay, what's that? Laman Yedid Sechem, what is that? Sukkah Shafti and Anakavan, Machlekes, whatever it is, both of them. Fine. I have in mind two things. Sukkah Shafti, what is that? Anania Kavan and Stam Sukkahs. Now, the problem is, this is not only 7 days a year. This is every single day, twice a day. You put on your tzitzis, you wear your talis, you have to have in mind what the Tam HaMitzvah is. Every day you put on your talis, you have in mind what the mitzvah is, what the Tam HaMitzvah is. Do you know what the Tam HaMitzvah of tzitzis is? I'm not going to ask you, but you can start from now on. You know, Elul is a time to take Kabbalahs upon yourself. You know what type of Kabbalah you're supposed to take on? The smallest Kabbalah. Something that you're going to keep. And something that's so vital to your life. If you from now on keep, you could be 90 years old, and it could be that you will never, like this Bach, you will never yotze the kiyum mitzvahs of talis. You spend $300, the valas tzitzis, you know what goes on over there in Israel, right? Everyone knows. Niputz l'shma, and all you got. You put it on, you don't even know the time of mitzvah. Like the Bach, he's going to come up to you and he'll give you a clap. The tippish, you never knew the mitzvah. What's the mitzvah of talis? Zechiras, Uschatem is called mitzvah is Hashem. You put on the talis. We're not doing tzitzis now, but there's a lot of halachas that people don't know really. They're doing the mitzvah tzitzis and they're not doing, they don't know the basics. You look at the tzitzis, when you're doing the atifa, you look behind you and you go and think, 1 second, I have to know what this Tam HaMitzvah is, or I'm not going to be Yaitza. So practice this. That I'm going to do the Tam HaMitzvah, which is Laman Tiska, it's called Schatem, it's called Mitzvah Hashem. That's all you need. It's a very simple thing. Now,
What is Laman Teres Hashem?
now there's one big problem. You don't even know all Tayak Mitzvahs. I'm not going to stop for herring, but most of us don't know. We can't get past 10 of them. So you go, Laman Tiska, it's coming to Hashem. What is that? The magic word? It's a Baruch Shem about Chaim HaKadosh Al HaTorah that helps you out. Again, we're not going through this, but don't worry. That's okay. Just remember those 3 words. Kol Mitzvah Hashem. That's all you need. 613, you see this, it was match it, whatever it is. But look at the Chutim and remind yourself of Kol Mitzvah Hashem. You got now $1 billion worth, because now you're going to put on your tzitzis. Now, this is not only by talis. We made a whole story with the talis. Every time you put on your tzitzis while you're half asleep, you know, you're not supposed to walk down Amos without tzitzis. So you're putting your tzitzis right next to your bed and you're half sleeping. Whether you wash it this time, you didn't wash it this time, we're not getting into that. Al Kaponim, think right then, Schatem is coming to Hashem. You hear Bashal? It's Kedai to live till today to get this.
Shas Levisha.
What?
Shas
Shas
Levisha.
Levisha. And now you're going to get throughout the day. You could be wearing tzitzis now, and you never got the mitzvah. You're wearing it.
I forgot. I put it on Shas Levisha. I was B'chamer. Why don't I have to say the Kol Mitzvah Hashem 10 times a day?
No, because once I did it, the Shas Levisha is the Mechayev, and that's it.
What about matzahs? Is matzahs Hashem says it's for you there? It's the same thing.
Okay, fine. That's a good kasha on the back. That's we're not. Don't blow down more mitzvahs here, please. Yeah. So now, so 1 second. So that's what tzitzis. Now, I want to tell you something very important. When you're going to look at the whole l'shem yichud on tzitzis, and many people do say it before the talis, there's no such mention. And in Moshe Steinbach, you know, I think I said this once here. Moshe Steinbach put it in his siddur, he writes in his tshuva, that he put in his siddur, he added those words.
Which words?
That Schatem is coming to Hashem. He said, you're missing the whole thing. Well, what's this whole Kavanas thing? He added in the siddur. Rabbi Black, do you say that thing before you put on the talis?
Tefillin is different.
Tefillin is pretty good. Tefillin is pretty good.
Well, no, the tefillin focuses on the l'shabed machshavos. What about Laman Teres Hashem B'ficha?
Right. But what's the real kavan of tefillin? We'll see. Okay, we'll get to tefillin in a minute. 1 second. So tzitzis, it does not say that in the l'shem yichud. If you have it, not Ashkenaz, not Tzvah. And Moshe Steinbach added into his nusach that l'shem yichud. Now, fine. That's Moshe Steinbach. The Chuvas on August. He thought to add it into his nusach. Tefillin. If you look, let's see here. What you got in nusach Ashkenaz? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the new art school over here, they have this. It doesn't say that. It says, "But the HaRav mitzvah tzitzim HaKadosh Baruch Hu ki amtir b'chol p'yotev with the yag mitzvahs atluyim ba." It's pretty close, but you have to know that when you're saying that, you mean that this is keneged yag mitzvahs. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. Now in tefillin, tzluyim ba, maybe that's what it means. I remember Rabbi Felder, saying he wanted a taina. He said everyone's bothered. Like, how could this whoever wrote this, it was a Friedrich, obviously, not write the ikar reason? Like, what's he getting all around? So he said it's pashut. He was saying it from the Friedrich. It's pashut that all these kavanas. Why many people don't say this, because that's heichah kavanas. The basic kavana, we don't need to go ahead and have a mention to the basic kavana. That's not what the Shem Yichud was looking to do. Fine, but legabe tefillin, if you do say it, so if you look at the mechaber in HaRav tefillin, okay, again, we're not learning HaRav tefillin here, but this is so important that we can't skip it. The mechaber in HaRav tefillin, when he does say that you need the kavana, which is interesting, like we blame it on the Bach. The mechaber in Simon Chafei Sifhei says Yicham b'anachasam. Shetzivanu HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'niach ab pashi sheyes b'm yichud shemoi yitzias mitzrayim al azrei k'neged al leiv al reish k'neged al mayach k'neshnis k'nisim v'plois. It's a whole long mechaber, and he says you need this kavana. Yichaven. He doesn't give you. It's a nice thing. Yichaven b'anachasam. Shetzivanu HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'niach ab pashi alalu. And if you look at the kavana, it does really say that it's yichud. The ikke kavana by tefillin is yichud achdusay shema yisbarach. I'm not going to ask you what yichud means. That is the second mitzvah in the Sefer Mitzvahs la Rambam. To be miyacher Hashem. What does that mean? Yichud Hashem. What does that mean? What is the fancy word? Yichud Hashem. To be miyacher Hashem. Is that Amunah? No. Is that betochen? No. That's the first mitzvah in the Sefer Mitzvahs.
Kapshuta, it's the second Laisisa. It's no Varizara, nobody else. Ain't that Mavada?
Yes, that could be pshat.
That's already.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's very important to know this. We're not going into this, but it's very important to really know what yichud is, even without Hoicha and Yonim, without going into Kabbalah and all that. Yichud itself is a very, very important knowledge what exactly it means to be miyachar Hashem. So that's what Rabbi Shlomo said. Pasha Taichis is right. Is that there's no shituf, but if there's already a mitzvah emunah, which means just believing in Hashem, which means that He runs the world. So obviously there's no shituf. Well, where's the shituf playing a role? Okay, fine. We're not getting into that. But Akapanim, these three mitzvahs. Zok the Bach doesn't say Claude that it's Ma'akiv, but Akapanim Kri Yankiv says the HaRav says it. Machzah it's mashma like the Taz like that. That these three mitzvahs are Ma'akiv Kavana. What type of Kavana? Tana mitzvah. So you have to know the reason. So before you walk into your sukkah, when you walk into your sukkah, I said I'm mechaven for mitzvah, but what type of mitzvah? I mean mechaven the Tama mitzvah, which a Tama mitzvah is SUKKAH. What SUKKAH is? SUKKAH is mamish, SUKKAH is an anakavod, Zalzayin belez, Zalzayin bekiva. Some sefer if you want, Maisiv even SUKKAH is mechem is goygo magay. Sorry, sichim v'oig. That's the type of sukkah. It's not upon him. It's enough to have in mind the Belezer Bekiva. And we're going to now start having Kavana. That's going to be our Kabbalah this El. And we put on the tzitzis and we put on our tefillin. We want to get those great mitzvahs and we want to know the Tama mitzvah. Very simple. Tzitzis is Kol mitzvahs Hashem. Tefillin is Yichud Hashem. That's enough. Uman Yichud Hashem. That's going to get you to be Yaitze. Okay? So that is for this. Now, very important to know is many people, the first night of Sukkah, they're all excited, they're all into it, and they walk into the Sukkah and they say, okay, kinderlich, einiklach, whoever you're dealing with your wife, whatever, or you talk to yourself, and you say, I'm going to have in mind the Tama mitzvah. This is not just the first night. It's not like a one-time thing. This is every single time you walk into the Sukkah. You come in there, you makbid on your shahakal, you makbid on this. You want to get the mitzvah, you have to have in mind the Tama mitzvah. You have to work in this a whole L because it's not going to happen if not.
The Rav said the Shem Yichud every time he walks into the sukkah.
I don't say Shem Yichud, but I say I want to have in mind the Shem. Whenever I sit down, right. Item Shabur says you don't need it. You can't be Kuryakim. The Chomer to be Kuryakim. No.
Or do a Bach. You're going only to be Bach.
With Simon Samach? The Mishabur says pretty. The Mishabur is not so simple that you don't need it. The Mishabur.
Well, hold on. Let's straighten it out. 1 second.
The Mishabur says then it's not ma'akiv. That's all he says. But you want to get the real kiyum mitzvah. I want to
It's
get
not
like
ma'akev, and he's talking about the first night. So he's zichron not ma'akev the rest of Yantiv, right?
No. Ma'akiv means to get the mitzvah itself. Oh, one second. We'll get to it. We'll get to it the first night of the rest of Yantiv. Shlomo Zalman said that that's pashut. It does not make a difference the first night or the rest of Yantiv. The first night you need it. The rest of Yantiv you don't need to eat b'chlal. But if I want to get a kiyum mitzvah lekatchila, let's go with the Mishabura and not the HaShulchan. The HaShulchan says it is ma'akiv. Kriyankov says it is ma'akiv. The Machzor Shekel says it is ma'akiv. Many say that it is ma'akiv. Fine. So we'll be making on the Mishabura to say it's not ma'akiv. But why would I want to get? I spent so much money on my schach and my sukkah, and I'm killing myself, and I make my children put that thing up, and here comes a b'di'evadig mitzvah. I cut all the trees around it. I'm spending thousands of dollars with all the, and I want to get a b'di'evadig mitzvah. Why in the world should I do that? I would rather get a lekatchila mitzvah. So therefore, when I walk into my sukkah, I would like to have, every time I walk in, I run in with a cup of water, and I run in with this, and I do everything that I possibly can. I would like to have, personally, I would like to have a lekatchila mitzvah.
Yitzias Mitzrayim too, the Bach, or all just l'shem mitzvah sukkah?
Shem mitzvah sukkah, anane hakavod, and sukkah's mamish. That's it. And that's automatic. It's Mitzrayim. I don't go make a whole half hour before I start eating. But akapanim, that I think is a very, very important thing to know. I'm not saying again, like if Shlomo is saying, the Mishabura, Chavetz Chaim says it's not ma'akiv, even though the HaShulchan says it is ma'akiv. So we have machlekes like many, many, many other times. We have machlekes Chavetz Chaim and HaShulchan, fine. So you want to be making the HaShulchan, but the ketchil the mitzvah is missing out, losing out. So therefore I would tell you that even though it's taka only the first night, legabe, to say that you have to eat over again, the other days, obviously you don't have to eat over again, but akapanim, that we should try to head.
There's another slip.
1 second, he's bringing up a good point here, saying a shpizin should help. How often do you say that a shpizin? Do you get more than 2 days in there? Most of us, even though, right, the first one, the first night,
nobody knows what that means. And why is it? No, really, why is it? Why are you in the mitzvah of sukkah?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm such a Litvisha. I don't say a shpizin. I know most Klal Yisrael says a shpizin. I'm not from. No, you say everyone of you says a shpizin?
It depends.
Yeah, no. So good to say.
Half a Klal Yisrael says a shpizin.
Yeah, more. Yeah,
more.
That's why I said. I think I remember the first night. I don't think by the third night.
But there's another slip for Kula.
You know what it is? If you're inviting Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, you're not inviting yourself because you're not Yitzchak. Then everyone will come to your sukkah.
There's another slip.
More than that, you mafkia the
Yeah.
you mafkia the same
Eating
sukkah.
outside, they're not coming to you. There's some zam eating outside.
The evidence is that you're relying on the Tzemaisa Tefillah.
That's how we-
Yeah, that won't help for this, exactly. Yeah, but it's all. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm not looking for b'di'evas. We built a sukkah. We had everyone come. The Einik will come build it, and showing them where to go and schlep them. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, we're not talking about that. We're talking about it. Now we're worried about ourselves. We want to be better. We want to know that this we're going to come up with good schus and rishona. You would take yourself a Kabbalah that this sukkah, I am going to try every time I walk in. It's going to take me another 10 seconds that I'm going to think before I start eating or before I go to sleep. Someone asked us, you're right, while you're sleeping, you can't think about anything. But before you go to sleep, you think that I am going to go ahead and have in mind that I am going to be sitting in the sukkah, l'shem mitzvah sukkah, and l'shem tama mitzvah, which is the sukkah seshafti, anane hakavod. And with that, we should all be yotze the mitzvah sukkah. And mitzvah next week, we're going to, okay.
So
Yes.
that happens to be a good question. That's a good question.
What? Yes, that's a Shimon Shkop, and the Mechas it definitely is. And that's why if you look in the Shlomo Zalman, he has a huge arichas in this in Mechas Shlomo. And obviously, this is Reb Heschel's a great Talmid Chacham, I see, and he knows the Mechas Chinuch and all that. Yeah, that is totally in that raid, which we're not, it's late now, we're not getting into that raid. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, everybody, we'll see everybody tomorrow.